Okay. Before we get to Democrats and how they hate America, mainly CNN, but it's way more than CNN. Before we get to any of that, I want to do something really quickly here. Vaughn P. Drake Jr. You've probably never heard the name, but he was 106 years old. He was our oldest living survivor of Pearl Harbor, and he finally passed away. And wanted to take a moment to honor the man. And I wanted to take a moment, somber as it can be, wanted to take a moment and just encourage you. If you have anybody in your life, in any, touching your sphere at all, who's a World War II veteran, buy him a cup of coffee. Maybe, here's a suggestion, just a suggestion, just do what you want. Do you have a nursing home of some kind, a care facility, an old people's home, whatever you want to call it, in your area? Maybe a phone call, see if there's one there. Go have coffee with him on Saturday, on Sunday. I say this not just because they will love it, and not just because you will love it. You will love it, by the way. I say this because Father Time is undefeated. And these World War II veterans were finally at that place now in the year 2025. They're all going away. They're all dying. We don't have many more years where we'll be able to talk to them. And they are such a link to the past, a link to past generations. And I wanted to encourage you to go talk to them. Hear their stories. You will enjoy yourself. You will. So if you feel like it, go talk to one. Pearl Harbor was a dark day in this country. There were a lot of brave men who fought in that. A lot of brave men died. And then, of course, World War II, we know what happened there. So if you know one, talk to them, all right? All right. Now, speaking of the country, let's shift gears on something here. Because it's getting a lot of play about CNN versus Donald Trump and Trump versus the judges and deportations and things like that. Okay, so let's just boil this down. The White House announced they're eyeing 1 million deportations the first year. Now, there are a couple things we need to say about this number. One, that's very ambitious and good for the White House. Two, that's not nearly enough. I know it sounds like I'm saying two different things. I'm really, really not. I applaud the Trump administration and the Trump White House for their ongoing efforts to round up as many illegal immigrants as humanly possible. They are trying. I have many sources inside of the White House. They are dead set on getting them all out if they can. 1 million the first year, that's a good goal. Is that going to be enough at the end of 4 years? Well, no. Not when Joe Biden and the communists imported 20 million in their 4 years. 4 million after 4 years is not enough, but it's a good start, a good first year, which of course brings us to our current situation. Because I get a lot of questions, a lot of emailed questions from people asking me, Jesse, I don't understand why. Why is this judge making this ruling? Why are they stopping this? Why are Democrats so adamant about this? Well, let me put this as plainly as humanly possible. We have, for generations now, taught Americans' children in schools and most definitely in college that the United States of America is evil. If you end up leaving school or believing that, you will naturally find a home in the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party of 2025 despises the United States of America. There's no other reason you would get elected and promptly bring in as many rapists and murderers from El Salvador as humanly possible. The Democrat Party hates the United States of America. And this is something anyone who's ever worked on political campaigns will tell you, and Democrats will whine about this, and yet it is 100% verifiable fact. If there is a home with an American flag, that is not a Democrat home. It's not. There are exceptions, of course, but anyone who's ever knocked on doors, worked on a campaign at all, will tell you that home may not be a Republican home. It may be Republican, it may be Libertarian, it may be Independent, it may be this or that. But if there's an American flag flying on that home, it is not a Democrat home. because the entire base of the modern Democrat Party believes America sucks. And this country deserves to be burnt down. And yeah, if we brought in 20 million barbarians, that's because the barbarians, they deserve to loot this country, which sucks anyway. That's how the American media thinks. That's how the American Democrat Party thinks. That's how all those federal employees, top to bottom, that's exactly how they think about this country. That little mist you get in your eyes when the national anthem is playing, it is as foreign to these people as Narnia. They don't have any idea what that kind of patriotism, what that kind of love of America feels like. All they feel is hatred for this place, which sucks. And so getting to that place where you accept that can be hard for a lot of people. I'm a jerk, so it's easy for me. But for a lot of people, it's hard to accept that you share a country with people who hate the country. There's no other explanation for what you see, though. I mean, let's talk specifically about the MS-13 gang member. MS-13, really bad news. Originated in El Salvador. You probably already know this, but they made their bones in the criminal world by being more vicious than other gangs. That's how they rose. They came here. They've been here for years. And every now and then you'll see it. Of course, the media covers it up, but you'll see it. You pick up your phone one day and you'll see some story about, oh, well, some kid got tortured to death. Oh, somebody got their head chopped off. This is in America. MS-13 did it. MS-13 did it. MS-13 is a vicious organization. The Trump administration took somebody who wasn't an American citizen, but was, according to two different courts, a member of MS-13, and they packed him up and they sent him back home to El Salvador. He's not an American. He belongs in El Salvador. They sent him back home. And since that time, almost every single elected Democrat and everybody in the American media have tried desperately to bring the MS-13 gang member back into the United States of America. Now, tell me again, am I crazy for saying these people hate America? And this Kaitlan Collins with CNN, she gets into the White House, into the Oval Office, where El Salvador's President Bukele and President Trump are there. And what's she there to do? She needs that rapist back in America.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President Trump. Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to be suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you could release him inside El Salvador?
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. You want us to go back into releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into our
country. There's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility. I think they hate our country, actually.
And of course, they do. There's no other explanation for it. These people, if they had their way, would bring in every rapist and murderer and drug dealer across the planet into your community, because that's how you burn down a country. And that's how they've been trained over and over again. And Dana Bash can go to the television set and try to claim they don't hate America all day long.
Say, for the record, since we heard President Trump say in the Oval Office that CNN hates our country, CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying. I've been here for 32 years, and
But you do. You do hate the country. Now, you don't want to be labeled as that because that label does hurt CNN's credibility. You don't want that word to go out that you hate the country. But I own a home. I own a home. And if I fly down to El Salvador and I walk into that prison for terrorists that Bukele has set up, and I ask them, I said, hey, I need 5 criminals from here. Make it the worst of the worst. And they hand those criminals to me. And I put those criminals on a plane and I fly them back to the United States of America. And I move them into the extra bedroom in my home. Do I love my home or do I hate my home? Democrats brought 20 million people into the United States of America on purpose. They didn't allow it. They didn't look the other way. They not only opened the border, they sued to keep the border open, and then they took your money and they flew these people in the country, and then took more of your money and flew these people around the country, and then they took more of your money and they created an app to allow these people to schedule their invasion into this country. So allow me to say what I've said many times before, and I'll continue to repeat it. Democrats do hate the United States of America. They want to burn it down. Voting for Democrats in the year 2025 is an act of evil, and you should never do it. And if you've done it recently, you should be ashamed of yourself. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.